questions. How are you all this morning? I can't tell you how happy it makes me that all of you are here today. Can I get a special good morning from all our children here? Great. Good morning. There we go. We need to put that breakfast to good use. Okay, so welcome to Climate Conversations. I'm genuinely so happy to see so many of you here this morning, but I'm not surprised because we have a fantastic session here for you. I'm Urvi, that's Shreyas. We're the founders of EcoGalaxy, and EcoGalaxy curates the stream Climate Conversations. And today, each one of you, especially you younger ones, are really helping us because you're helping us make these conversations about the health of our planet, about the natural world, accessible and available for everybody. So thank you so much to all of you for being here. Now, before I introduce our fantastic speakers, EcoGalaxy begins each session like this. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that this land, this place where we all gather, once belonged to our city's rocks, trees, insects, birds, and countless other living beings indigenous to this land. We acknowledge this in the spirit of solidarity and a respect for our shared existence. All right, our very first session of day 2 at HLF is titled Telling Better Stories for Nature and Ourselves. It's in collaboration with Sanctuary Asia. Bijal Vachrajani, our first speaker and moderator, when not reading a children's book, is writing or editing one. She's the author of multiple planet-friendly books, including A Cloud Called Bhura, Savi and the Memory Keeper, both of which won her the Author Award, and When Fairyland Lost Its Magic, which won the Kalinga Award. One of India's first and finest climate fiction writers. For children, she's now a climate warrior. Let me also add that while her books are for children, I have read them and I'm not quite a child, and I found them utterly delightful and profound, so I recommend them wholeheartedly to all of you. Bittu Sehgal, he's the founding editor of Sanctuary Asia, that has nurtured and been home to some of the most important conservation work by researchers, writers, and photographers. He served on the board of government and non-government bodies, including the National Board for Wildlife, Animal Welfare Board, the IUCN, the Wild Foundation in the US, and the Ministry of Environment and Forest, Government of India. Thank you both so much for being here, and the floor is now yours.
Thank you so much, Urvi and Shreyas and Hyderabad Lit Fest for having us. Can we have a big round of applause for Urvi and Shreyas for everything they do? Right. So, I have a question. When I say the word fox, what do you think? What do you imagine? What is the adage that we say, as dash as a fox? Right? Clever, cunning, right? So, I must have been a little younger than some of you when I was at this magazine stand in Delhi. And there was this magnificent orange creature that looked out at me from it. And it was such a beautiful photograph that I could almost touch it. And it was a photograph of a fox on the cover of this magazine that I'd never heard of. It was called Sanctuary Cub. And then I picked it up. I told my father, please, can you please buy it? So then we took it home. And I found out that this whole as cunning as a fox is what human beings want to use to label animals. Right? And instead, this magazine told me everything about the wonderful world of foxes. And I didn't know that I would grow up one day and then end up working with the man who started that magazine, Sanctuary Cub, Bittu Sehgal. So, one of the things that he does is he gives a lot of hugs. He's like a teddy bear. He then also asks you a lot of questions. And he keeps making you think what you know and then rethink what you know and question yourself. And Bittu, it all started what? 44 years ago.
1981, then Cub came in 1984. 1981 Sanctuary and Cub came in 1984.
And it all began with a promise at a bonfire. Tell us about that.
It all began with a promise at a bonfire in a place called Ranthambore, which I fell in love with. My family fell in love with. In fact, we used to keep 2 or 3 bags permanently over there and go to Bombay and come back to visit what we considered to be our home. Under the Ranthambore fort is one of India's largest banyan trees. Under that banyan tree, every night we used to sit down over there and have our khana and stare at what used to be, some people say, the oldest TV in the world, which was a campfire. You stare at it, never get bored. So around that campfire, after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, I asked Fateh Kaka, all children, all the children called him Fateh Kaka. He was Fateh Singh Rathod, field director of the Ranthambore Tiger Reserve. And I said, Fateh, what can I do to help you? I have been coming over here to Ranthambore and I want to do something. I don't want to just be a tourist. So he said, go back to Bombay and have many parties. So I thought, must be asking for some fundraising parties and all. So I said, to yaar, main party, he says, Arey yaar, after that you come back over here next year and ask, Fateh, मैं टाइगर बचाना चाहता हूँ, मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? फिर अगले साल फिर आओ, फतेह मैं टाइगर बचाना चाहता हूँ, मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? He said, तुम बॉम्बे वाले, you are no good for anything. पार्टी करो, ये करो, वो करो. So I said, फतेह मैं कभी वापस नहीं आऊंगा यहाँ. 4 साल के लिए आ रहा हूँ, यहाँ मेरा दिल है, लेकिन मैं कभी नहीं आऊंगा, मुझे बताओ मैं क्या करूँ. So he said, after a while, he got a little sort of, he knew I was serious. So he said that, why are there 1,200 political magazines, 2,300 film magazines, 18,000 sports magazine, एक भी wildlife magazine नहीं है. Magazine खोलो. So my big problem was that when I was your age, my father used to tell me, Arey, you have got a pen? I said, yes. You got paper? Yes. Why don't you write? And tell us you're all right. At least that much you do from school. I was in boarding school. So I never used to write. I never used to do anything. I had no experience. I had no money. I had no nothing. I said, मैं कभी नहीं आऊँगा वापस जब तक मैं magazine नहीं दूँगा आपको. So that was it. There was no business plan. There was no experience. But there were people like you. And it worked. People worked. It just worked. BNHS, Bombay Natural History Society, was the second birthplace of Sanctuary magazine. When I came back from there, the first person I went and met was Dr. Salim Ali. So I said, I would like to start a magazine. He never said, yes, good, this, that. Then I asked Mr. Humayun Abdul Ali. He was fantastic guy, but thoda sa gussedar. Arey, who told you can start a magazine? You think you can start a magazine? Have you ever done anything in your life like that? You don't even know one bird from the other bird. What will you do? So I sort of went then to a man called R.E. Hawkins, who used to be on our executive committee. I was on the executive committee then. And chota question, but this answer ends with this. He said, if you want to start a magazine, people like us will help you, but you have to understand that you are not talking fiction. You have to base it on science. And if your science is right, your magazine will do well, because there is no magazine that takes all the complicated scientific papers and puts it in a language that a 12-year-old can understand. And Sanctuary was born. It was actually called Habitat initially. That was Fateh's given name. But then Habitat turned out to be a department store somewhere, It was a furniture store. So then I said, Fateh, we have got it registered, Habitat. So he said, to kya hai? Sanctuary bola?
And that's how Sanctuary happened.
That's how Sanctuary happened. And it came 1 year later, 9 months later.
9 months later.
9 months
in October.
Later, 1st of October 2081. 1000. What am I saying? See, look at this. Can you imagine? Fateh Singh has done this thing to me, It was born 9 months later, 1981. The magazine was born on October 1st, and this dinner that I had around the campfire was held on the winter of 1980. So there we go.
You know, and then you got Sanctuary, which was for all the grown-ups who you love calling the Buddha party with the white hair. And then you started 3 years later, Scum. And now your daughter Tara edits Scum. But one of the things that Bittu's always told me is that let's not talk to the old people. They've made up their minds, all of that. It's the young people who've always been your constituency, right? How did that realization come so many years ago, even before, the Fridays for Future created that sort of furor in the world?
The short answer is that when I met people of my generation, पहले तो कहते अरे कुछ नहीं होने वाला यार, तुम क्या करते हो, जाया क्यों करते हो, समय भी जाया कर रहे, मेरा भी समय मत जाया कर यार, अब तू काम की बात कर, So I found that there was sensitivity, but there was a certain reluctance, and there was a certain cynicism in adults. Now I wasn't prepared to become a cynic. I was not a cynic, born a cynic. So I went to the best audience that I ever had. Have you ever seen a cynical child? I haven't seen. कुछ भी पूछो था. Yes, of course I'll do it. One day, everything came. Bijal, everything came correct for me. We had asked children to write letters to the Prime Minister. So this one boy came up to me and he said, like this, Bittu uncle, don't worry. I wrote to the Prime Minister. He said he will help us to save the tiger, and he showed the letter. I said, now that is what we need. We need to believe that we can do it, and we will do it. That's why the children. As far as Buddha party is concerned, they have wisdom, they have everything, but they have been let down too many times. And the children, you wait. How old are you, my beta? 6 years old, just imagine. So you are the reason that I wake up every morning and take a deep breath and say, Apna farz nibhayenge, kudrat ko bachayenge. So okay, there you are.
Really, I love those. You always had these. You were the ultimate ad man for the forest. Pattedar Pani Ka Devta, the tiger.
Oh, that was written, by the way, thousands of years ago.
And you amplified those messages. One of the things that when I joined Sanctuary, Bittu said, have you ever been to a tiger reserve? And I said, no, I haven't. Our families would go to hill stations on holidays in the 80s and 90s. And so he said, this weekend, go to Ranthambore Tiger Reserve. And he said, you're not going to want to defend the forest until you've spent time in the forest. And I was packed off, and I got to spend time in this magnificent space. But I'm not the only one. You've fostered so many young minds through this school program that you run, which is called Kids for Tigers. What a powerful name, firstly. Mud on Boots, you got the Young Naturalist Award at Sanctuary Asia. I see all of this, and at the same time, when I go to schools and I talk to children, especially in urban India, many children can't tell me what is that red tree with red flowers, and you say Gulmohar, squint and say what, and I'll say, what birds do you see outside your window? And they'll tell me crows and pigeons, which love crows. Pigeons, admire them. And there's a word for this. It's called environmental generational amnesia. How do you see children's relationship with nature changing over the last 4 decades?
See, ecological amnesia is actually a human-caused, almost intentional disease. मैं लोगों को कहता हूँ कि कुंभकर्ण को जगाना आसान है, लेकिन जो ढोंग कर रहा है सोने का कि pretending to sleep, उसको कैसे जगाओगे? Children are not like that. We have learned to be like that to survive. So let's put it like this. I think, Bijal, that as far as children are concerned, they have been taught to listen to adults. They have been taught By nature, our customs are like that. You don't insult your adults, whether he's your chacha or a mama or a friend of your father. So children are like empty slates, and I personally feel that had somebody come to me when I was 10 years, 12 years, 14 years old and given me the right direction, but at that point, what direction? I was in Bishop Cotton School. I was at that point 14 years old, and the person who came to talk to us in Irvin Hall said, "You know, you young boys, you got to all become men." So I said, "Yeah, nice." I was listening to him. "You know what you can do? Where do you live?" He asked me. I said, "I live in Calcutta." "Well, you know, in Newmarket, what you can do is if you go down to the Andamans and you shoot some deer, the meat has a good market in Newmarket. No, you can sell and you can make a very good living and you'll be an adventurer." No, that is the kind of person that came to me. Another person came to me at that point and said, this is him talking, not me. Huh? "Boys, the India-Canada factor is a very important factor. Reactor is a very important factor." He wanted to put nuclear reactors from Canada to India. So he was planting me with those ambitions, and I said I must change the ambitions of the children. What used to be पीढ़ियों पहले वैसे होना चाहिए था. हम नदी को भी पूजते हैं, हम पर्वत को भी पूजते हैं, पेड़ को भी पूजते हैं, चूहे को भी पूजते हैं. तो पूजना चाहिए. You worship nature, and children, they have come. They are like fish to water. They are my every day in the morning. I wake up and say, "अरे, they will outlast us. कोई बात नहीं, मैं departure lounge में है, ये arrival lounge में है."
Let's hope it's like that terminal kind of Tom Hanks stage going on. But you for me have always been the Gandalf of wildlife. You've always told those stories. And recently, Bittu wrote a story for me for an anthology called Go Wild. It's for children. And you excavated your old diaries for it, your old nature journals. Tell us about this whole practice of journaling when you go to a space of forest, and then being able to, like, especially because we have children in the audience, this practice of observing, of journaling, to be able to tell stories maybe even 40, 30 years later.
When I was your age, not you're a little bit older than you, my mother said if your head was not attached to your shoulders, you would leave it behind somewhere. Because I was bhulakkad. So I can't remember. I'll know, even others will tell you. I said, "Which room is this?" Yesterday you were speaking in this room. You should know the name of the room. So I used to write down just as a memory jog for myself. Then when I used to write that down, sometimes I forgot that, okay, this bird ne kya tha. So I began to write a little more. And it just, one thing goes to another. And then, of course, there was one man who taught me how to write a journal, but I could never write it like him. His name was Dr. Salim Ali. Everything, it seemed like he was an artist writing. And he had something like, I think, 200 or 300 journals. I must be having 30, 40. But writing that became, even today, it feeds me. Because when I look at that, Dachigam mein kya trip tha yaar, we saw the Hangul, in Sundarbans, when we were going down over there, I thought a coconut was floating. It wasn't a coconut, it had ears. Aisa kar raha hai. Ye to tiger hai, swimming across the Neti Dopani river. So like this, everything that when I feel a little bit despondent, a little bit bored, sometimes a little curious, I pick it up and see, and I show them to you. It's very important to do it from a scientific point of view also. Very important.
Scientific, and also as somebody who's writing, as somebody who's telling stories or drawing stories, I feel journaling becomes a point of observing. And really, as you see, adults, we are constantly stuck to our phones. We don't look up. And I think these journals, when I saw yours, reminded me that to tell stories, you have to look around, you listen, and just breathe in. And one of the things that you said yesterday about how you walked into a meadow, and what did you know about it from? Tell us about that.
No, you have to remind me. What meadow you are talking about?
The one in Kashmir with these.
You'll have to get a little bit closer.
So I'll tell you, he
Yeah.
was telling me about how he walked into this meadow and he knew it was a flowering meadow.
Oh Lord, yes,
Yes.
Okay, I'll carry on. This is Sangargulu. When you walk from Gratnar up from 6,000, 5,000, 6,000 feet to 12,000 feet and get to Marsar, you first have to pass a meadow called Sangargulu, but you don't see it first. This flower meadow means bees. And it was fantastic because when that used to happen, to tired legs got strength again. So that was one of the things that happens. The relationship between a bee and a flower is ancient as ancient can be. और हमारी भी रिलेशनशिप वैसी ही थी, वैसे भी होनी चाहिए, लेकिन हम उस रिलेशनशिप को तोड़ रहे हैं. मैं कहता हूँ कि फॉर मी सांगरगुलू विल ऑलवेज रिमेन, also the smell and also the sound of Sangargulu. So I'm sorry,
That's fine. I'm there for
you
the
have to
reminding.
promise.
Yes. So yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways that I've always had from Bittu and also a lot of people who work in wildlife is to observe. You become this almost voyeuristic but not intrusive observer.
You know, Bijal, I'll tell you again, this is not me speaking, this is Salim Cha speaking. When I asked him, I said, look, I'm not a scientist. I write all these things. Then I have to come back and see what it is. So he said, do you realize that some of the finest behavioral notations have been written by rank amateurs? Because the scientist will sometimes anticipate, he will be doing this, he'll be doing this, so he writes this. But you will just write, this monkey, you know what it did was, it went over there, then he climbed up a tree, then he snatched the baby from another monkey and he went. But how is that interpreted?
Right.
Because in monkeys, when you have a family of monkeys, all the female monkeys want to take the baby from the mother to hold the baby. The reason is the mother has to feed also. With one hand, how can you also jump and how can you also feed? So it becomes a way. So that becomes an observation. It's a scientific observation that a troop of langurs, they depend upon the fact that other younger females will look after their baby while they eat, and it also trains them for motherhood. So that's a deep scientific thing. So keeping a journal, and if you're what you might call an amateur, there's no such thing called amateur in nature, by the way. You just have to believe that what you're doing, what you see, but write it down truthfully. Don't say like the shikaris used to say, अरे मैं जंगल में गया, वहां मैंने दूर से शेर देखा, तो मैं तो अपना कुछ नहीं कर रहा था, लेकिन शेर मेरे पीछे ऊपर आया और मेरे ऊपर कूदा और मैंने उसको गोली मारी. ये मेहरबानी से ऐसे की नोटेशंस ना रखें आप.
You know, I was reading a couple of your interviews getting ready for this panel, and you described what we are living today as an anthropogenic climate misadventure. You also called us Homo stupidus.
Yeah.
Cannot agree more. In today's climate change world that we are all living in, what are some of the things that keep you up at night? Worrying. Like, I'm a climate warrior. That's all thanks to you. So,
you know, what keeps me up at night is the fact that some of the stupidest people in the world are the most powerful people in the world. It really keeps me up at night. It's like having a fireman. You're sitting across the road, and if you have a fire, he's supposed to save you, but he used his full tank to pull up a swimming pool because his child asked him to please give me some water. That's a stupid explanation, but that is what we are doing. हम लोग मूर्ख हैं. मैं कहता हूं कि मेरी जनरेशन मैं हाथ जोड़ के माफी चाहता हूं इन बच्चों से कि मेरी जनरेशन ने कुछ नहीं किया था. I was born in 1947. Freedom was given to me like a rasgulla laddu. I never fought for it. I never did anything. And now my generation is just the people who colonized us in 1947 have gone, but they left the tools of colonization behind, and now we are colonizing these my bachas. So I would say even that we are trying to colonize them. We look like we are succeeding, lekin bacha party. Can I tell them a small story?
must.
Okay. Can everybody close your eyes for 1 minute? Just 3 breaths you take. Just everybody. Bazurg and bacha. out, in, out, in and out. Open your eyes. You know what has happened just now? Miracle. एक ऐसी miracle जो कोई सोच ही नहीं सकता. Every breath you took, it came from the plants that you see outside. Every breath you took. But कहानी वहाँ खत्म नहीं होती. When you breathed out, you were feeding the same plant. So your carbon dioxide was feeding the plant and the plant was feeding you oxygen. You tell me, इस किस्म का जादू कहाँ मिलेगा? ये कहाँ मिलेगा जादू? So this one jadoo that I want to tell you has one more side story. Okay, now mothers, I always warn beforehand, sugar high की बात मत करो. This is only a demonstration. मैं बच्चों को कहता हूँ कि okay, you are 6 years old, correct? Would you like to live in a house where the doors are made out of chocolate? The windows are made from lollipop? You open the tap like this, meetha meetha lemonade you get, nimbu pani or whatever you want to drink, which is not bad for you. Now, if you have a house like that and you walk and you see something, some stone on the ground, don't kick it. You pick it up and eat it because it's a marshmallow, because it's a lovely sweet rasgulla. And then when you go to sleep and wake up in the morning, करके सब कुछ वापस आ गया. Everything, the door is fixed. जो भी आपने खाया सब कुछ ठीक हो गया. The whole world is like that. The whole of nature is like that. आज आपने आम तोड़ा तो पेड़ अगले साल में वापस दिया. हाथी ने कुछ ये ले लिया वहां से, ब्रांच तोड़ के खाया, वापस आ गया. Everything fixes itself. Everything becomes fine. You know that? So you are going to grow up in a world कि जो हम लोगों ने नुकसान भी किया है यहाँ वहां सब ठीक होने वाला है. सब कुछ ठीक होगा. Who all from you young people has got a cut on his hand or her hand? Anybody, anytime anybody got a cut? Anybody, adults or anybody, any cut, bruise? Now look at that. Now you know, okay, you can put your hand. You did not say, acha, now listen, there's a cut over here. Yahan se all your cells, now you come over here. No, not over there. You go. Nobody tells it do this. How does this cell and that cell know it can repair itself? How does that happen? How is that jadoo? That jadoo is because nature is self-repairing. It is a machine that can repair itself. Everything can repair itself. Even now, when you see the fires in Canada, when that thing goes up, after all, that ash will now fertilize new growth, and that new growth, when it comes, it is pulling carbon down. The problem is us. When I say Homo stupidus, there's a reason for that, Vijay, because the very machinery that actually gives us oxygen, we want to cut it, and the very water that gives us life, we want to poison it. So we just have to just tell बच्चा पार्टी कि भाई आप ये मत करो बस. Don't do what we did and sit back like this and watch. वो भी ठीक हो गया, वो भी ठीक हो गया, ये भी ठीक हो गया, वो भी ठीक हो गया, सब कुछ ठीक हो गया. गजब है. All our buzurgs will know what happened during the pandemic. Sky was blue, waters were great, birds came close. So much so that a tiger came and just quietly sat outside Corbett over there. देख रहा है क्या कर रहे हो तुम लोग. Deer started to come. And dolphins and so. Now I've said too much. Now you tell me what you want.
I think that's what stories remind us, that the real magic in our life, and that's what a lot of my work has become because of this, is that the real magic in our life is nature. I mean, when you see a caterpillar turn into a cocoon and transform into a butterfly, what is that? That's magic. And that's nature. And so to me, I think stories have become a sort of, the climate is changing so fast that stories have sort of become a weather archive now. Like it's like tree rings, right? You read scientists read tree rings to understand what happened in a particular year in the past. They get to know there was a forest fire because trees like us, when we are in trouble, we gather together. So the tree rings also gather together. So that's how they know what happened in the past. And to me, Sanctuary Asia has become that one space where you go back to know what happened during this political era, what happened during this social political upheaval, right? Um, how have you seen journalism evolve over the last 4 decades in this? I know it's a big question, but
I will give you that answer, but first I wanted to ask you something.
oh no, that's
Yes.
not the way this works.
Yes, but I want to ask you something. You came into Sanctuary
Yes.
and you took Kids for Tigers. By the way, we tell a simple story in Kids for Tigers. You can't save the tiger if you don't save the forest. When you save the forest, you save all the creatures. I'm saying it like this because it's almost like a mala japna, You save all the creatures in the forest. Once you've saved all the creatures in the forest, they do pollination and all that. And when it rains, the forest will pick up all the water. Then that water will not go on the ground. It will go on the top canopy, middle canopy, lower canopy, not on the ground. All the fallen leaves, because Dharti is so nazuk. From there, it will go into the aquifer. Aquifer is like a large swimming pool or a river underwater. And when the rain stops, this is my first lesson, which you always
Yes.
did. When the rain stops, then those aquifers, they feed our rivers, they feed our wells, the water feeds our farms, the farms feed us. So you save the tiger, you save yourself. So now you help to strengthen Kids for Tigers considerably when you were in part of there, and many of the things that you brought in the systems, which I did not have the bheja to do systems, you had them. Those are the ones we are still using. So you tell me about your life now, since you left.
Oh God.
Yes, come on.
I don't know what to answer.
You don't know what to answer because I am a teacher, na? So I always ask the student at the wrong time. What is that? What is that? Come on. No, you know everything. You are just shy to say. Come on.
I think for me, it's really been the power of children. To me, we talk about fossil fuels and energy. We talk about solar energy. We talk about wind energy. All of that. And I think what I took away from Sanctuary Asia and I continue to use in my work is the fact that actually what we are is a children's powered collective. If you were a bird, which bird would you be?
If I was a bird, then which bird would I be? Well, I'd put it like this. Let me start with the negatives. I would not be a bird that cannot fly. Because since I was
No
a baby,
penguins.
I used to always dream of flying. I used to think I'm flying. I always wanted to fly. So let's say that I might want to be the usual thing will be eagle or vulture. I would love to be that. Just put your wings out over there and go. But I think it may be a seagull. My name is Sehgal also.
I don't know where that came from.
It may just be a seagull. Because honestly, I don't know what I might want. You ask me now, I'm 78 years old. So I read a book called Jonathan Livingston's Seagull. And when I read that book, just the quality of just living a beautiful, peaceful life silently, I think it's a seagull.
But you don't want to be the seagull in Finding Nemo, which is constantly like more. Mine.
I would like to be Nemo if you let me be a fish.
Nemo is such a great fish.
Oh,
Yes.
what a great fish he was. And sometimes I wouldn't mind being Bambi either. I wouldn't mind being so many of these things. I'm soon going to be all those things.
Terminal. All right. Okay. Let's take audience questions. Come on, your chance to ask Bittu Sehgal a question. Yes, of course.
The most wonderful thing. This is so nice. This is the youngest person in the room is going to ask. As old as me. All right. Yes.
Bittu, I think my question may irritate you. Sorry.
No.
Beforehand,
Yes.
I am a farmer,
Yes.
and today wildlife menace for farming
Yes.
has become a real menace.
Yes, it has.
And so in my area, we never had this problem even till 10 years back, like monkeys and recently elephants. Oh my God! Then of course the wild boars.
Wild boar. Yes.
So between the three of these, it is very frustrating. Now, I would like to know what you are, and let me just finish. I have a feeling that the forest policy of not doing, just allowing them to be there and banning any kind of culling or any kind of killing is not always right, at least for agriculture. So, at least in the areas which are near the forests, is there something you would like us to do? And I mean, look, I understand the importance of forests for agriculture, not just forests. It is very important. We used to milk the forest for so many things. Now, of course, there are machines for everything and there are chemicals for everything. But it is a forest. It's the nature which gives so many things, even for agriculture. So this is
No, you are absolutely right, and I'll tell you that as farmers would have been, I would say, the best ecologists in the world because they knew that the soil was living and only a living soil can give us food. At this moment in time, so many things have happened. Human ambition has become such that nature has a rule. We have to follow the biosphere's rule. And we human beings, when I say that we should be Homo stupidus, it's no insult to human beings, it's a change that has taken place. Gandhiji said, there's enough for our need and not enough for our greed. But the greed is not from the farmer. The greed is from the people who are turning farms into industrial farms, or they are turning forests into paving lots. They are turning forests into cities. So if the elephant, they have never in their life destroyed a forest. Never in their entire life. वो खाते हैं यहाँ से, then when they find that by most of the nice fruit we've taken, then they walk 60 kilometers, 100 kilometers away, and they'll be there for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and then this thing will come back out. And that is nature's self-repair mechanism. Uske andar we have thrown a monkey wrench into the machinery of nature by over-consuming, by overdoing, and making it impossible. Now, I cannot go to an elephant and say, Wildlife Act, section so-and-so, subsection so-and-so, you're not allowed to do. But I can explain it not to the farmer, but I can explain it to the guy who wants to take iron ore from under the farm. Because what you call a farm right now, at that point or the other, there used to be farms, there used to be forests, and it has lived like this for 1,000 years. How come there was never any real problem? I mean, the elephant would go, the tiger would go, the deer would go, the dukkar would go. He had food in the forest. If you destroy the person's food source, then he will go to the next food source. So the issue is that I think that farmers and those who want to protect the earth have to get together, and we have to both stop those people who are neither protecting the earth nor they are protecting the farmer. The soil has wildlife in it. 7 times more wild species in the soil than exist in all the soil above, and we are putting chemicals inside there. We are putting fertilizers which are from chemicals inside there. We are burning the stock in Punjab. I'm a Punjabi, so I can say, bhai, there are pagal ho gaya tu ki kar rahe hain tu, you know? Then you burn that stock right now, and then what happens to all the things, the nematodes? What happens to all the soil bacteria? What happens to all that? So, Bacha Party, let's put it like this. It is possible, this question is very, very important. We should be getting together and stopping the destruction of the food of the elephant. The elephant will never come to us, or if he comes, he'll damage very little. Because honestly, they don't like us, they don't like our torches, they don't like having fire bombs thrown at them. So there has to be something where people who work for human rights and people who work for forest rights are working for the same thing, and both of these people are actually being manipulated and distanced by people who care neither for human rights nor for the forest. It's not fully answering your question because you know that nobody can fully answer that question. But if you, Manglu Baiga, who has been my guru for a very long time in Kana, he said something simple. He said कि जो महुआ का पेड़ है आप देखोगे कोई इसको काटेगा नहीं, लेकिन महुआ का पेड़ को हम नहीं पूछते हैं सिर्फ, जो तितली है जो महुआ को पॉलिनेट करती है, he didn't use that word, उसको भी हम पूजते हैं. तो अभी हम अगर if that santulan between human beings and animals goes, whether you do it, it's not a question of your fault, but it will be your disaster or it will be my disaster. So I've given a goal answer to a very, very, very good question, I must say. And I don't have all the answers, but like little Bo Peep, lost a sheep, leave it alone and it will come home wagging its tail behind them. The pandemic showed that if you leave nature alone, it will produce enough for the elephant and enough for the dukkar and enough for the monkey. And it may take some of your crop, but it will not take it all. But are we taking all the food from them? Think about how much of agriculture, if you look at the map of India, what used to feed us was maybe 10, 12%, 14%, 18% along the rivers. Now we have gone into सब कुछ हम हड़प कर लेंगे, अभी तुम हवा पे खाओ, नहीं होगा, हाथी बोलेगा नहीं.
Can I just say that with the bats and the wasps and the butterflies, it's the farmers who feed us. So can we please have a big round of applause for somebody who is so important to our lives?
Because we have destroyed the nature that's around us, and because we are going somewhere to enjoy the nature, don't you think if we preserve the nature that's around us and that's in our locality, we don't have to go so far in order to enjoy some small shrub or some small microorganism or some small meadow that you were talking about?
Here, here.
You're right. Will you please answer that? See, I'll put it like this, that Baba Amte once said to me कि जो कुदरत से टकराएगा वो मिट्टी में मिल जाएगा, So the fact of the matter is that going out and watching, see, everybody can't live in the forest. We don't know how to live in the forest, but the Adivasi people know how to live in the forest. They know which fruit to eat, when that comes, when this happens. When we go to forests right now and when we declared national parks and sanctuaries, why did we do it? दही जमाने के लिए जामुन चाहिए. आज के दिन में जो हमारे जंगल जो हैं, जिनमें अभी टुकड़े टुकड़े हैं जंगल के, अगर हम जामुन की भी लस्सी बना देंगे तो क्या हो जाएगा? So even tourism, which was a good thing, that we wanted people to go out and see how does an elephant live, how does a tiger live, a city person. The fact of the matter is that if too much tourism comes there, it's like eating too much food. You might like this biryani or you might like that jeera aloo like me and kali dal, with a nice tandoori roti, garam wala. But if I eat 14 of them, to hospital jana padega. So I'm saying to you right now, I have to answer your question very simply, that it is not possible for everybody from the city to go there. But if I was the Prime Minister of India, I would say that all children can go free of cost. And if they have an adult, then that adult can only enter the forest if there's a child there. It doesn't have to be your own child. You take a child over there, And if you do that, within about 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, attitudes will change. And please, the zoo is not a nature education facility. If many people, when I say this to other people, they say, अरे zoo में जाके दिखाओ ना, that's where we can do it. तो ऐसे तो फिर ऐसा करो, तिहाड़ जेल में भेजो उनको and tell them कि भाई crime doesn't pay. Would you do that? देखो बड़ा डेंजरस आदमी है वो, उसने इसको मारा, ऐसा मत करो, Look, let the children grow up to know that in their own house, in your own house today, beta, I'm sure you don't love cockroaches, but I can assure you there's a cockroach hiding somewhere in your kitchen or somewhere or the other. But do you know what the cockroach does? This is how I would teach the children. I would not necessarily have to go to the forest. The cockroach, when you do with your jharan, you are cleaning the whole thing, thodi si dal giri, you have spread the dal across your whole thing, enough to feed a family of cockroaches for 2 months. So the cockroach is eating that. If that was not eaten up, it would be bacterial. The bacteria will come, the bacteria will give you an infection. Everything in nature has a balance. And I have not answered your question perfectly, I know. But consider that don't all of you go to the same place, and look for nature in your own place and make sure that what nature exists in your city you protect. If you keep quiet, मौन व्रत अगर खाया ना तो पेड़ भी खा जाएगा, कोई ना कोई खा जाएगा. आप देख तो सही, I studied in Hyderabad. I used to drink the water of that thing, and now she's saying the time is over, so let's go now. All right. I used to drink the water in the river next to Hyderabad Public School. I used to actually drink it over there. And now, if you try and drink it, you'll go to hospital.
So I think taking a cue from that, I'm going to wrap up by saying, firstly, thank you for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you, Bittu. And if you've got one thing from this about telling better stories, go out in nature, observe, hug a tree today if you can. And then, as Bittu says, the dragonfly is the wilderness, the tiger is the wilderness, but let's not forget you also are the wilderness. So thank you so much today.
Do one thing. Now all this baat karna is band. Can we have the children here so we can take a
Actually,
picture?
I was just going to say, but before that, Vijal, I always say that a good moderator makes a discussion. Thank you so much for leading this so beautifully. I think, yes, everyone agrees, with the anecdotes, but your own experience and richness. Thank you so much. And Bittu, thank you for being the person you are. Thank you for being a leader. Thank you for being the chief. Thank you for doing what you do, keeping that joy and interest and beauty and love alive.